Tonight, we step into Chapter 16 of There's Treasure Inside. At first glance, this chapter looks like a simple story about soccer, the 1996 Olympics, and one improbable gold medal. But hidden beneath the surface, Jon Collins Black is scattering breadcrumbs, clues that may lead us closer to the lion's share box. In this episode, we'll unravel quotes, colors, numbers, stadiums, motels, and even a reference to Inception itself. And the big question, could 1996 and 141 be pointing us to actual coordinates here in the United States? The chapter opens with two voices of inspiration. Abby Wambach tells us that you never know what's possible until you try against all odds. David Beckham says to be the one in a million. Don't let odds discourage you. John's intent is clear. He's talking directly to the reader, to us. Just like the Nigerian team, the impossible is possible. Someone will find the treasure. Why not you? The image in this chapter is powerful. A gold medal inside a box. But not just any medal. The 1996 Atlanta Olympic gold, awarded to Nigeria after their astonishing victory in men's football. John tells us this medal is now part of the treasure. Why this medal? Because it represents defying odds, perseverance, and unexpected triumph. These are exactly the traits he wants us to hold on to as we dig through his clues. Now let's talk geography. On page 144, John drops the phrase two-star motel in Tallahassee. Out of nowhere, this detail jumps off the page. Why mention it? Then a second motel, 75 miles away, and finally a clue about a 100-mile radius around Atlanta. Circles, distances, radii. These are not filler details. They are map tools. John is drawing invisible rings on the ground for us, rings that could intersect to point towards something important. Could the lion's share box be hiding inside that 100-mile circle? You bet I circled Atlanta on the map. There are 5 Olympic rings, blue, yellow, black, green, and red, each representing one of the inhabited continents as the IOC defined them at the time. Africa, the Americas, Asia, Europe, and Oceania. Now, if we connect that idea with John mentioning the 100-mile radius around Atlanta, here's how it could tie together. The 5 Olympic rings as circles. Each ring a circle you could draw on a map. If the book tells us about a 100-mile radius around Atlanta, that could represent one Olympic ring. What if the puzzle is suggesting we draw multiple circles, maybe 5 different radii around key cities, overlapping like the Olympic rings? John is tying belief and defying odds, Nigeria's victory, to the Olympic symbol. 5 rings united. His line, it's here to help you. Maybe it can provide you the direction you need. Could mean literally, draw circles, follow their overlaps. Circles, distances, radii. These are not filler details. They are map tools. John is drawing invisible rings on the ground for us. Rings that could intersect to point towards something important. Could the lion's share box be hiding inside that 100-mile circle? Then we're taken inside the stadium. First, the crowd is dressed in Brazil's yellow and green, then later in Nigeria's green and white. John makes a point of describing the colors vividly. Remember, Collins has told us before, each treasure box is surrounded by colors. Could this be his way of flagging the lion's share with yellow, green, and white? Think about locations in the U.S. tied to those colors. Flags, schools, sports teams, or natural landscapes. Now the real rabbit hole, the numbers. Just in the first paragraph, John hits us with a barrage. 1863, 86 years, 1949, 47 years. 3 times, 22 to 7. Add them, multiply them, reduce them. The math feels intentional. Multiply 47 years by 3 and you get 141. At first glance, it feels like just another number in a sea of dates and statistics. But what if 141 is more than that? What if it's a coordinate, a precise line on the map that could guide us toward the lion's share box? In puzzle land, palindrome/reflect means using a number symmetry to build satisfying, mirror-like coordinates or bearings. With 141, a palindrome, you can mirror digits across latitude, longitude, or inside DMS, degrees, minutes, seconds, so the two axes echo each other. Minutes are mentioned a lot in this chapter, and the overall theme of the book contains mirror references. Is something hidden here? What palindrome reflect means palindromic DMS parts, same forward, backward. Use the digits as minutes or seconds that read the same. We've already discussed how 141 can function as a coordinate or even a meridian. The 141st line of longitude defining the Alaska-Canada border, so I doubt that it. And then the date 1996. Could this year itself be the coordinate? 19.96 degrees north puts you in Hawaii. 96 degrees west runs through the U.S. heartland. Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. Overlay these and you start to see potential intersections. Jon might be daring us to see numbers as more than history. They're map points. Ways in 1996 can encode a place. Treat it as coordinates, decimal, DMS, or a mix. Decimal degrees, DD. Latitude 19.96 degrees north. Those parallel runs across Hawaii, Big Island, Maui region. Quick test targets. 19.960 degrees north near Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. This would tie in with the fire clues we have seen. Wouldn't it be fun to have a treasure hidden in Hawaii? Longitude 96.00 to 96.19 degrees west. That meridian crosses Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Nebraska. If other clues reference prairies, Sooners, Huskers, or the Great Plains, try projecting to this line and intersecting with a second number from the puzzle. Split it into two map numbers, 19 and 96. Look for highways or roads. Remember, Jon told us this chapter shows us what direction to head. 1996. Could this year itself be the coordinate? 19.96 degrees north puts you in Hawaii. 96 degrees west runs through the U.S. heartland. Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. Overlay these and you start to see potential intersections. Ready to fall down a deep rabbit hole? First, write down 1996 and play around with what direction it points you. Here we go. Write down this number, the number 528,491. I will circle back to this in a moment. I don't have a ton of notes from this chapter, but one thing that jumped off page 144 was the notion of the two-star motel in Tallahassee, Florida. Where else are stars mentioned between these pages? But I actually took Motel and 2 and tied it into something more. Inception. Inception is a 2010 science fiction action heist film written and directed by Christopher Nolan, who also produced it with Emma Thomas, his wife. The film stars Leonardo DiCaprio as a professional thief who steals information by infiltrating the subconscious of his targets. He is offered a chance to have his criminal history erased as payment for the implantation of another person's idea into a target's subconscious. Inception, the word is mentioned in this chapter. That's how I made the leap. The number 528491 is a series of random digits that Robert Fisher gives to the team in the movie. The movie is complicated, but you could go down the Inception rabbit hole. The clue tie-ins are 50 years, a hotel, and to be honest, I'll let you decide. The team abducts Robert in a city on the first level, but unknown to any team member, his subconscious projections, trained to anticipate such a scenario, attack them. After Saito is wounded, Cobb reveals that while dying in the dream would usually awaken dreamers, Yusuf's sedatives will instead send them into limbo, a world of infinite subconscious. Eames impersonates Robert's godfather, Peter Browning, to introduce the idea of an alternate will to dissolve the company. Cobb explains to Ariadne that he and Mal entered limbo while experimenting with dream sharing, experiencing 50 years in one night due to the time dilation with reality. After waking up, Mal still believes she was dreaming. Attempting to wake up, she committed suicide and framed Cobb for her murder to force him to do the same. Cobb fled the U.S., leaving his children behind. Yusuf drives the team around the first level as they are sedated into the second level, a hotel dreamed by Arthur. Cobb persuades Robert that Browning has kidnapped him to stop the dissolution and that Cobb is a defensive projection, leading Robert to another third level, deeper, as part of a ruse to enter Robert's subconscious. In the third level, the team infiltrates an alpine fortress with a projection of Morris inside. where the inception itself can be performed. Why? Because Inception is all about layers of reality, dreams within dreams, false signals, and hidden codes. And that's exactly how this chapter feels. Layered, coded, dreamlike. Jon tells us that almost all of the chapters contain some clues to help us locate the lion's share box. The next hotel reference is on page 146, where a 100-mile radius of Atlanta is mentioned, and then another motel over 75 miles away. I will let you read through the chapter for the story, as I am just trying to pull out relevant clues. 50 years, a hotel, and to be honest, I'll let you decide. That's a direct nod to Cobb and Mal spending 50 years inside limbo, trapped in a dream world that felt real. He also mentions motels, which in the film becomes the second dream level, the one Arthur designs. A 2-star motel could be the second-level hotel. See how I made a big leap there? 50 years echoes numbers we saw earlier. And the message? Reality may not be what it seems on the surface. Look deeper. Jon leaves us with these words. If you begin to question whether you can find the treasure I have hidden, I invite you to return to this chapter. Okay, that seems like a giant red arrow pointing this way. He says, it's here to help you. Maybe it can provide you the direction you need. What started off as a simple chapter towards the end of the book now looks like a giant stop sign. Stop here and maybe all of the number in this chapter point the way. He goes on to say, I am curious what odds-defying realities you and I might encounter next. Does he mean ODD, like odd numbers? So what clues can we really find here in chapter 16? The pictures on page 147. I would recommend making a copy and printing them out. Let's see if they connect in some way to the other photos with torn edges in the book. Why is there a close-up of the medal's engraving that reads men's football? The image in this chapter is powerful, a gold medal inside a box, but not just any medal, the 1996 Atlanta Olympic gold, awarded to Nigeria after their astonishing victory in men's football. Jon tells us this medal is now part of the treasure. Why this medal? Because it represents defying odds, perseverance, and unexpected triumph. These are exactly the traits he wants us to hold on to as we dig through his clues. This chapter keeps pointing out odds, and he asks, what odd realities might we encounter next? Odd, not even. Could he literally be steering us toward odd numbers in the chapter? Page numbers, line counts, or coordinates? Everything feels intentional. Jon also teases us with odd phrasing. A 19-year-old wonderkind simply called Ronaldo. Why so many hyphens? Why highlight it? Then the line, tribulations steeled the team's resolve. Steel, strength, another deliberate choice. What is wonderkind? Wunderkind is a German word meaning wonder child or child prodigy. It can also refer to someone who achieves great success at a young age, especially in business or a competitive field. The term is derived from the German words wunder, wonder, and kind, child. Finally, Jon tells us outright, if you begin to question whether you can find the treasure, I invite you to return to this chapter. It's here to help you. Maybe it can provide you the direction you need. A giant red arrow, a stop sign planted on chapter 16. He's daring us to pay attention here. The 100-mile circle around Atlanta, the motels, the colors, the numbers, and even the odd phrases. They're all pointing in one direction. So where does chapter 16 point us? Maybe it's to Atlanta, maybe to Hawaii, maybe to that 141st meridian. Maybe the 100-mile radius hides the true location of the lion's share. Jon leaves us with one challenge: defy expectations. Like Nigeria in 1996, like a 1 in a million victory, this chapter is a test of belief. Because in the end, somebody will find the treasure. Why not you? As we close out chapter 16, one thing is clear. Jon Collins Black wants us to stop here, to pause, reflect, and look deeper. The breadcrumbs aren't just about soccer or medals. They're about circles, numbers, and directions. From the 100-mile radius around Atlanta to the odd power of 141 as a meridian or a coordinate, to the layered dream world of Inception. Jon tells us, If you begin to question whether you can find the treasure, return to this chapter. It's here to help you. Maybe it can provide you the direction you need. Direction, odds, circles, borders, colors. They're all here, pointing us forward. And just like Nigeria in 1996, the impossible can become possible. Someone will find the lion's share box. The only question left is, will it be you?